In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Now I'm going to talk about the second type of, in fact, possibility which appears on page 233 under the heading of 662. The language learner has a second copy of universal grammar to build on. Simply here we want to say that this second copy is distinct from SS. Okay? The learner can build line 1 an L2 grammar from scratch in exactly the way they did at first. So you're able to produce your first language. You're able to make your first language. Similarly, you're able to make your second language. No difference. Okay? So a new example of UG is going to be available, or we can say that a version of the age-old idea that second language acquisition mirrors L1 acquisition. So what does it want to say? It wants to say that you learn your second language according to your first language. So that's why we say this is a version of the age-old idea that second language acquisition mirrors L1 acquisition, couched in terms of UG. So we have changed it to make it through through the UG processes available here. Okay, it's like this. Now so a second copy of universal grammar is available. This type actually has got, in fact, different versions. Let us see. Okay, let us see. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 says it implies that the initial state can contain a copy of UG which has remained unaffected by the, in fact, acquisition of L1. Presumably, each time a new language is encountered, the same happens again. So what does it mean? If you actually have got two languages, you actually know, you use, in fact, a second copy of it to learn your second language. Or if you actually know a third language, again, another copy is available, okay? A couple of days ago, when I was in my department, I found that one Iraqi student was like this. He was, in fact, a student in the United Kingdom. His mother was from Bahrain. His father was from Kurdistan, I suppose. Okay? Kurdistan in Iran means the place that Kurds, the big place that Kurds actually live in Iran. They say Kurdistan. Okay? Of course, there is a muhafadha in Iran called Kurdistan, and well, originally he was a Kurd from Iraq. Okay, so he knew Farsi, Arabic, Lahja Bahraini, English. Okay, Lahja Iraqi. Okay, two Lahja Iraqi, Bahraini, and Farsi. He was like a native speaker in Farsi when I talked to him. And when I changed to English, he was like this, that he was able to talk in English as well. He said that he was, in fact, in one of the cities of the United Kingdom. So the second language learner has a second copy of universal grammar to build on. So this guy, for example, first learned Arabic as he was a child. Then he supposed that he came to Iran and actually developed Farsi and went to the United Kingdom and actually learned English there. And because suppose that his mother was from Bahrain and actually went to Bahrain and he actually is able or developed the language of the Lahja Bahraini, okay, Khaliji. Anyway, this is the case with many people around the world. They know several languages, and this version of, in fact, this copy of the idea of second language acquisition actually fits those types of people, including some. They call it full access hypothesis. Okay, this type is called full access hypothesis, which if you actually go to the next page, on page 234, you actually see that, figure 6.6 says that initial second language state, full access hypothesis. When you look at this, in fact, figure, you see that the lines around it is not dotted lines. It is, in fact, simple, not dotted lines, okay? There are continuous lines around it, okay? And the UG, between UG and L1, there's something like dotted lines here, okay? Which means that UG and L1 are almost hand in hand. When it comes to the second language grammar, actually you see it, the flash goes from top, the arrow goes from top to the L2 grammar. This is actually what you see there. Okay? Going to actually, in fact, the rest of the discussions, let us not talk about the rest of the discussions because it's going to be boring when you go to the ideas that appear below page 234, and let us go to somewhere around page 235, line 1, which says, line 1 of the new paragraph, which says, this is the chief proponents of full access hypothesis are Epstein et al. 1996, an important figure, who claims that UG is accessible throughout L2 acquisition. So, if you have got this UG, you're able to, actually everybody has got UG. You are able to learn another language. So anybody in my classroom which actually hears me can go to a foreign country and develop a new language there. Okay? From the initial state when there is no, in fact, second language. Okay? So you simply begin you take your UG and develop it like this. The starting point in L2 acquisition, line 3 says, is the UG in the mind rather than L1. So you're using your L2. You're using your UG, not L1. Okay? It's like this. This then, line 3, separates UG from the L1 grammar and sees it as a continuously available to assist in the construction of various language-specific grammars, which means that you're able to learn as many languages as possible. Okay, 2, 3, 4 languages. Okay, and I'm not going to continue with, let's say, strong continuity hypothesis, which appears on page 235. Let us go to the new discussion of 663 on page 235, which says that the second language learner can build on universal grammar as incorporated in SS. Let us see. Full transfer or full access hypothesis. Let us see. Okay, I actually have to go to my gallery and open it once more. Okay, well, The second language learner here can build on universal grammar as incorporated in SS. So this is the second type of hypothesis. Well, actually my camera is frozen. I have to stop it because there's a problem with this type of program which stops my camera. So I'm gonna in fact forget about this is frozen camera. So this is the end of this part of discussion, and let us go to finish it as soon as possible.